Is it Easter? Nah. Is it Halloween? Nah. Ah, that's better.
Tenet.
In 1970, Christopher Nolan was born. 50 years later, he molested my brain. Tenet. So this review was requested by one of my subscribers, Kano. And Kano writes, "Hey Pablo, the Tenet movie recently became available to rent on streaming. Wondering if you've seen it and if you recommend it. Thanks for writing in, Kano, and I'm glad you asked."
Kano wins. Fatality.
Now for those of you wondering how to send a review request to me, it's just 2 easy steps. Hit the subscribe button and simply write your request in the comments below. And maybe I choose your request for my next video. Plus you'll be supporting this channel along the way, so why not? Now let's talk about Tenet. A secret agent who we simply know as the protagonist, played by John David Washington, embarks on a dangerous, time-bending mission to prevent the start of World War III. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? But it's a Nolan film, so don't expect it to be a cakewalk. Tenet was easily my most anticipated film of 2020. And Christopher Nolan, along with Warner Brothers, had hoped the release of this film would be the savior of the theater industry. Cause you know, COVID-19 caught us with our pants down and gave us a surprise colonoscopy. Sadly, the global pandemic wasn't really easing up in the biggest box office market in the world, North America. And it had a staggered release worldwide, depending whether or not a country or city was in the middle of a lockdown. But I finally got the chance to see it in my local IMAX theater. And let's face it, Nolan always wants his films to be viewed in IMAX anyway. So like a good little boy, I complied and see what he had to offer.
Go.
Now I've been a Nolan fan since The Prestige, and when it comes to his filmography, I've either liked, really liked, or loved his movies. And after his most recent handful of films, Christopher Nolan has become the bigger headline than the stars in his cast. And in those films, Nolan's played around with non-linear storytelling, he's dabbled in espionage within dreams, and he's even taken us to a futuristic dystopia with space travel. I swear this guy would be perfect to direct a movie that's a cross between Doctor Strange meets a James Bond film. And Nolan has this need to put his characters in suits all the time, even in the hottest places on Earth. What's up with that?
It seems you need an introduction to a prominent Mumbai local on short notice.
If there was a director that's most likely to discover the lost underwater city of Atlantis, it'd be James Cameron. But if you ask me which director is most likely to discover time travel, it's Nolan, hands down.
See him there, and they meet towards the end of the film.
Time travel!
Just as he did with Dunkirk, Nolan's focus was more towards the plot and pushing it forward. And in this case, sometimes backwards. The movie spent so much time in explaining the rules of this time-bending concept that it left very little room for any significant character development.
Don't try to understand it.
Our lead character, we only know as the protagonist. And as far as lead characters go, he's very two-dimensional. The protagonist lacks depth and feels only partially developed. Sadly, you'll find much of the same in Robert Pattinson's Neil character too.
No one's so dramatic.
There were a couple of aha moments near the end. By that time, I was already so disconnected from the characters, but instead of an astounding Nolan, it felt more like a but inverted. The most fleshed out three-dimensional character here is Elizabeth Debicki's cat. Just to clarify, her character's name is Cat, so not some random pet cat. And even if it was a cat, it would still probably have a lot more depth than our main character. Look, I know that Nolan did this intentionally to keep his characters mysterious and ambiguous. Cause let's face it, it's been pretty effective, cause I've seen a lot of people online speculate and come up with all these fan theories. It's fun to speculate, but I believe you can achieve both. Both meaning ambiguity and character development. You can garner this level of ambiguity in a main character that I can still get attached to and invest in. So much of the protagonist's motivations I really didn't care about. I was intrigued enough to see where things would lead to, but I was very much detached. One of the major complaints that people have with this film is the audio mixing. The dialogue was often drowned out by ambient noise. I recognize that there were some scenes where that was intentional, but the rest of the time I heard the dialogue loud and clear. It might have something to do with me watching it in an IMAX theater, which is where Nolan always intends his films to be watched and heard. Now in the first and second acts, expect to hear a lot of verbal exposition. And yeah, I'll say it, it was boring. The first time I watched the film, I almost dozed off. The second time I watched it, I actually fell asleep. And that's the last thing you want to do in a Nolan film, because this movie hits the ground running and you really can't afford to be left behind.
Well, we'll try and keep up.
In saying that, there's some simple concepts for simple missions that are explained, filmed, and executed in such a long and sometimes roundabout way that, well, it comes across as pretentious.
C'est la 2. Oui, attendez, parce que...
Even if we understood it, I feel like Nolan really went out of his way to overly complicate things.
Attendez, parce qu'il y a mon aide-soignant qui est pas... Est-ce que vous pouvez m'aider? Ouais, voilà. Parce que c'est de... Je vais essayer. Ouais. Non, non.
And all that achieves is alienating his audience.
Think about it. If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past.
Now let's talk about the good stuff. The cinematography here is fantastic, with exotic locales from different parts of the world. But it comes as no surprise that the main appeal of this film is the inversion of time.
I can walk backwards fast as you can. I can walk backwards fast as you can.
With secret agents in suits.
The backwards man, the backwards man. Backwards man, the back.
I mean, we've seen these effects before in Doctor Strange, but definitely not at this level.
Well, don't stop now.
The action set pieces were all remarkable, and a lot of that stuff I've never seen done before on film. At times I found myself trying to solve the puzzle of the story whilst in awe of the eye-gasmic effects on the screen at the same damn time.
That part is a little dramatic.
Now, even though I had problems with most of our primary characters lacking depth, I can't complain about the performances of the main cast. Washington, Pattinson, Debicki, and Branagh were all pretty awesome. Even though sometimes I didn't quite buy Kenneth Branagh's Russian accent, I still enjoyed seeing him as the ruthless villain.
That was my own mistake.
The supporting actors were also great, such as Dimple Kapadia, Clemens Posey, Himesh Patel, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson. By the way, didn't Aaron Taylor-Johnson say he was retired from acting?
You didn't see that coming?
And I thought it was especially cool to see all these actors execute their missions that take place a little bit ahead of time, present time, and
Yesterday.
There's no question that Christopher Nolan is an auteur, and all his films have a specific DNA to them that rarely disappoints. This guy always swings for the fence, with a lot of home runs. He doesn't just entertain his audience, he challenges them too, in a variety of ways, but mostly, and in big bold letters, intellectually. Even with this film's faults, there's still a lot of greatness to be found here. And this is all thanks to one of the greatest directors of this generation. Outside of his Batman films, Nolan is known for making very original movies and at a blockbuster scale. And Tenet is no exception. You just gotta make sure to ask yourself,
Are you watching closely?
Now before I share my final thoughts, just a friendly reminder to click like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on my future videos. Subscribe. And if you like my content, I want you to become one of my valued subscribers by supporting this channel on Patreon, simply at patreon.com/PeterPabloReviews, just like these Patreon legends right here. You'll also find a link in the description below. And now for my final thoughts.
Not gonna like it.
Starting with the lows, the character development is lacking. Lots of boring verbal exposition, and can feel pretentious and self-indulgent.
Patrick, vous avez pas perdu la main.
And as for the highs, it's a visual spectacle, great performances, and masterful directing by Nolan for the most part.
Well, I've seen too much.
So overall, I liked this film. The greatest disappointment, however, is I came in expecting to love it. I could watch this film maybe 1 or 2 more times, and I'm pretty sure I'll be done with it after that. It's not like Inception that I could at least watch once a year, but I will say that the visual effects alone is worth the price of admission. But if you're in a part of the world where it's no longer available in theaters, Tenet is available for rental or purchase on Amazon Prime and on the Google Play Store. It's got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 70%, which definitely leans on the positive side. And I really hope that you guys find a lot more love for it than I did. So what do you guys think of Tenet? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you more like me where it's okay, but it's definitely not one of Nolan's best? I've shared my thoughts, now I want to hear yours. And remember guys, I take review requests, so smash that subscribe button and leave me a comment. And who am I, you ask? I'm Gal Gadot. Bye for now.
You're prettier than me.
No way. You're so much prettier than me.
Wait, which one am I?
Alexa, you are Kendall Jenner.
Hey guys, it's me again. So you want to subscribe to my channel but you don't know how? Well, all you have to do is click right here. And if you like this video and you want to see more, well, why didn't you say so? Hit it, Thanos!